Let's hear your genius defense. All right? The facts are, you're at home alone. You live out in the middle of 150 acres. You got intel from the neighbor that somebody just ran into your woods headed towards your home. You have a trespasser's car, so you have unknown risks already sitting there. Sheriff can't respond. What do? Come on, let's go. You ain't got time to think about it. You're in the scenario. Yeah, I thought so. Hey guys, Kapper here, and this is going to be a video response to a lot of nonverbal downs on a particular video, and of course a lot of verbal comments. This is going to relate to the trespassing saga video part 2, video number 2. And it relates to people who are simply uneducated and unaware of the laws, of tactics, and justifications to be armed and to use deadly force when you can or when you can't, and what are good practices and what aren't. So the first thing I'd like to address is on that video, if you haven't watched it, you probably should go watch it first. Actually, you should watch all 3 of them first. I'll put the links in the description down below so you can watch them all, so you don't comment without knowing some background here. But anyways, on part number 2, I got intel that there was someone seen running into our property headed directly towards our home. And at that time, we had a trespasser's car on the dam from the trespasser that was removed the day before, okay? But at the time, all we knew was there was somebody heading through our woods, heading towards our home and the pond where this car was. So I called the sheriff, did the right thing. The sheriff couldn't come out. They were busy. We're in a very rural and very spread out county, so they're busy. And I said, well, I'm gonna go investigate. And they said, whatever you wanna do, it's up to you. So I grabbed an AR and a pistol and threw my GoPro on to document it, because I was documenting it all as it actually happened. And I forgot my binoculars. So in this particular case, I forgot my binoculars, which is kind of irrelevant anyways. So I was doing some slow stealth through my woods in areas looking for a potential criminal trespasser, okay? And I had my AR. And yes, I did use it to look ahead, okay? Forward, it's called point forward with my firearm. Now keep in mind, my property, this was all on my property. And our property is all hills and valleys. And at no time was that firearm ever pointed in an unsafe manner, ever. You know, the fake news people were coming up with, oh, there could have been kids in the woods, there could have been this, could have been that. Santa could have been there, who knows? But let's stick with facts. So the fact is, the sheriff wouldn't come. I have people in my woods headed towards our home and our pond, and my wife is on her way home very shortly, and she has to traverse through the mile-long road that we have, okay? So I took the decision to put the tactical advantage, at least in my side, and go out and inspect and see what was going on. And also, if there is somebody, to find them before they come and bash in our door, pistol whip me, murder me, or worse yet, before they get a hold of my wife on her way in, rape, murder, beat her, leave her for dead in the woods, okay? Going armed, people. Going armed is a precautionary measure. Okay, it doesn't mean you want to shoot someone. For you idiots that have said that to me, going armed is simply being intelligent. It's a precautionary measure. Let me try to put it in context for you. Every single day, police officers point their firearms at people. Depending on what city, what jurisdiction, I'd venture to say some of the more dangerous cities, 2, 3, 4, 5 times per shift. They have their firearm drawn and pointed either directly at someone or at a low ready in the direction of someone. Are they shooting people every day? No. Okay? Same goes for military. You're leading forward with that firearm as a precautionary measure should you come upon the worst. Okay? So what police officers do and what I would do and what you should do is if you were leading with a firearm and you came across somebody, you need to make your presence known, issue verbal commands, and engage in a dialogue. Sir, stop right there. You're trespassing. What are you doing? Keep your hands where I could see them. Very simple. Very simple. So if that person registered all this and you were armed, they would probably think twice or 3 times about attacking you, about pulling the gun out of their belt, about breaking out the knife and trying. And so it's the same with police officers. They issue verbal commands. Get out of the car with your hands up. Walk towards me. And they effect an arrest, or they search them and do a field interview, depending on the situation, whatever. Okay, so just because you are armed doesn't mean you want to go out and kill people. That's just simply ignorant. Trust me, I've been in police shooting situations and in combat. I know people don't just want to go out and shoot someone. People who are armed, mostly country folk, just want people to leave them alone. That's all. They're not out looking for trouble. And in my case, it's the same thing. We just want people to leave us alone. So anyways, back to the story on clearing the woods and trying to find this person that was seen crossing into our woods. My wife is on the way home from work. It's late afternoon. And yes, I have my AR on point. Which brings me to another measure of deadly force. If you don't know the criteria for deadly force, if you don't know what deadly force is, or the justification for it, let me try to explain it, but you really should if you're going to be armed. Okay, deadly force is basically using force against someone that is likely to cause them death. Okay, that is you using deadly force. The criteria, the justification for you to defend yourself or another by using deadly force is the imminent threat of death or great bodily harm. The imminent threat. That means it is imminent and going to happen now. Now there's some subcategories, more mechanical nature of it. There's 3 subcategories of requirements needed for you to be in an imminent threat of death or great bodily harm. And they are weapon, intent, and delivery system. Okay? It's really pretty clean when you think about it. So you come across a person and you're 5, 6, 8 feet away. They pull out a knife. They have a weapon. And they say, I'm going to kill you, you SOB, and they start charging you. There is the intent. And the delivery system is their arm and they're coming to attack you. Weapon, intent, delivery system must be present for you to be justified to protect yourself by using deadly force. If somebody comes onto your property and they're sitting behind the wheel of a car and they got you cornered out on your front lawn and you have nowhere to go left or right, and they're revving the engine, making mean, it's called wincing the lips, all right, or yelling things at you, you may be in an imminent threat of death or great bodily harm because the weapon is the car, the intent is they're revving it, and this is where verbal commands are very important for you. Say, hey, stop the car, put it in park, and you sidestep it. So if you do that, if you sidestep it, you may not be an imminent threat. But if they push on the gas and start creeping this way towards you, it all changes in 1/10 of a second. It is extremely dynamic, okay? And this is why so many police officers are acquitted, and rightly so, of accusations of excessive deadly force, because they can only be judged on what they know at the time of the event and what transpired in that little bubble, which is the way it ought to be. There ain't no Monday morning quarterbacking deadly force. Okay, so back to weapon intent delivery system. You come across somebody trespassing on your property and they've got a nice 4-foot oak log. Okay, and you confront them. And you say, "Sir, stop right there. You're trespassing. What are you doing on my property?" And they take that oak log and they start cocking it and start coming at you and say, "F you." Do they have a weapon? Absolutely. The oak log, which one smack across the head will kill you. Do they have intent? They're cocking it like a baseball bat. They're moving in your direction. They're verbalizing what they're going to do to you. That's intent. Do they have a delivery system? Can they deliver a imminent threat, a deadly blow to you? Yes, they can. They just got to close 5 feet and start swinging. There's an imminent threat. Weapon intent delivery system. Now let's take that same scenario. Come across somebody on their property. They have a 4-foot oak log. And you say, "Sir, stop right there. You're trespassing on my property." And they're leaning against the 4-foot oak log. And you ask them, "What are you doing here?" And they say, "Well, I'm lost. I'm trying to get out to the road. I was hiking this trail here and I didn't know where I was supposed to come out at, and I ended up here." Okay, do they have a weapon? Yes, that same 4-foot log is a weapon. Do they have a delivery system? They sure could. They could do what I just explained. They could charge you and attack you with it. Do they have the intent? They're just leaning on it, using it as a hiking stick, and you're engaging in a conversation with them. I'm going to say no. There is no intent to harm you there whatsoever. Okay? So that is very important in distinguishing going armed, being justified to use deadly force, and just carrying a firearm as a precautionary measure versus actually using it. So my question to some of the people that have commented to me on that part too, let's hear your genius defense. All right? The facts are, you're at home alone. You live out in the middle of 150 acres. You got intel from the neighbor that somebody just ran into your woods, headed towards your home and your pond, which is right next to each other. You have a trespasser's car, so you have unknown risks already sitting there. Sheriff can't respond. What do? Come on, let's go. You ain't got time to think about it. You're in the scenario. Yeah, I thought so. You're gonna take a nice walk out there with a pocket knife, and you're gonna potentially come across a meth head or a tweaker or somebody that's mentally ill that wants to kill you because they don't want to get caught. That's a real good plan. Or wait, you're gonna cuddle up down in your basement and just hope everything goes good while your wife comes in and drives right by these people right at the edge of dark? That's a really good plan. I suppose, you could just get armed in your home and wait it out. That certainly wouldn't be the worst plan, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to wait for someone to kick the door in. There could have been 2-3 guys. You don't know that. You don't know. That's the whole point of being prepared with a firearm, is that you don't know what to expect. So I suppose you could do that, just wait in your house and hope nothing happens. But then what about your wife? She's got to come by right at the edge of darkness and drive by this guy or these people you don't know. So the whole point is, to all those thumbs down, some of them might have been because comments were disabled. I get that. But there's too many idiots out there for me to deal with. But the ones that think I was unsafe in some fashion or manner, the fact is you're simply incorrect. You don't know tactics. You probably don't know the laws. And you don't know justifications of using your right to defend yourself under the law. So all I'm saying is to think a little bit. Be willing to hear different points of view from people that might know a little more than you on a particular topic before you go bashing and playing keyboard warrior. There's too much of that going on. Life is just too short. Would I ever want to shoot someone? No, absolutely not. No way, never, because I'm going to tell you it will be a life-changing event that you can't undo. Just trust me when I tell you that, okay? I know a lot of personal friends who have had to take the life of another. I've been there side by side with them, okay? Experienced all of these things. So, no, I do not want to take the life of another. No way, no how, never. But I'm not going to get caught unprepared if I can help it. And so when you go armed, make sure you're educated with knowledge, knowing what the justification is. Because the worst thing you want to do is get charged for murder in a situation where you maybe weren't fully justified, even though you were scared for your life, which is another thing that you need to consider is in police work. By the way, one quick thing. The laws for police are the same as they are for you when it comes to deadly force, okay? Police are measured in the same law as you are. In other words, the police have to either be protecting their own lives or the life of another from imminent threat of death or great bodily harm. The same as me or you. The only difference is the police can stand their ground. So police go on a high-speed chase on a stolen car, they crash, the bad guys get out, start shooting at them. They can continue to engage until they either stop the threat of shooting or effect a lawful arrest. That's it. Those are the two outcomes. Police can stand their ground, whereas you and I aren't justified to do that. In other words, if you have a plausible escape route, you may be judged on how you did or didn't use it. It's all individual scenarios. There's infinite number of possibilities. But that is the only difference. As far as deadly force, the police are judged the same as you and I when it comes to protecting yourself for deadly force. So make sure you know it, all right? And you need to know it well because it's very important. I mean, yeah, the gist of it is if you're imminently going to get killed or hurt or maimed, then you can defend yourself. That's the gist of it. But you should dig just a little bit deeper. So I am going to put out another video regarding that whole situation of what actually happened over that 48 to 50 hour period. The first 3 videos that I put up, I only put up what was happening at the time by design because I wanted you guys to experience the same things that I was experiencing with only the same information that I had at the time. Okay, and it was actually very interesting. I'm surprised I captured so much on video as it really happened. Of course, I had a few people say it was fake and all staged. And I thought, wow, you know, I'm pretty good, but man, to stage a sheriff's deputy, to stage this guy on my lawn, to stage me finding him, to stage the snow that night that just happened to come that night, to stage him coming while I was asleep driving by our home. I mean, I must be really good if I could stage all that. So anyways, thanks for watching. As usual, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to follow us. We have a lot of country adventures. I mean, we're basically about living the dream, country living, food plotting, tractors, excavators, a little bit of shooting, a little bit of hunting, and Mrs. Kapper's getting into new projects of rustic cedar stuff. So thanks for being aboard. Comment here if you'd like. No haters, please. The delete button works very nicely. So until next time, Kapper out.